Hey. I just went bought a watch with a whole lot of diamonds to show all these niggas it's my time. Took a trip out to Cali to hang with the Chris, make a play and get high off that Zaza. I say R.I.P. Kobe, a nigga so fly when I ball out, fuck around skydive. So much chicken on me, could've went by the Williams, the Rudy's, a big ass Popeye. In a whole different bracket, this life is immaculate. If you hit me for both, then you know that I'm taxing. Keep buying clothes, that shit still in the packages. If he say that he robbed me, he capping me. Really no niggas throw sevens like Kaepernick. You not blind and you see that we have it. Known in my city, so no I'm not average. Came a long way from dope in the can. Niggas know that I step in the game that I rep. Went to Solomon, I shot the 10 for 600 on.
Maestros, what's going on? Hey, we're back with another episode here with Top Bins. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving break. I know I did. Got to spend time with my boys. Tons of training. Working with them all week. It was fun. Didn't eat a lot of Thanksgiving turkey, but it was good. Got to play in a tournament, actually. It went pretty well. Won one, lost one, tied one. Had a couple opportunities to score, and I didn't put one in the back of the net, unfortunately. So that would have probably moved us in the championship game. But you know, this means I have to get on the pitch and keep working, even when I'm in training sessions, and try to get some more games in. So it was a fun Thanksgiving break. Hopefully y'all had a good Thanksgiving break. Just want to give you a couple quick updates. Don't forget that we have our international tour ID camp coming up on December 20th. Right now it's going to be in League City, but for everyone that's registered so far, if it changes due to weather or anything like that, I'll send out a message letting you know where we're actually going to host that ID camp. Again, don't forget to register if you haven't registered yet. This is for players that want to play internationally, want to get seen internationally, and see what it's like to play internationally. For all our high schoolers and college players, I think it's an important tour for you guys to kind of see the level of play and see where you're at, and kind of measure yourself to players on the other side of the ocean. So December 20th, and it'll be in the first thing in the morning, like 10 a.m. So we'll knock it out real quick. So over the last couple weeks, I want to talk a little bit about the culture that we set in our environment when it comes to football, right? So with Club 10, there's a specific type of culture that we kind of have here. And I think I mentioned that a little bit in the last podcast about how some people, not everybody comes to train with us, and there's only particular types of players that come to us. But I think the standard and culture is important because even though our training sessions are fun, we want to have a good time and laugh and everything like that. And, yes, soccer should be fun. At the same time, there's a certain standard that we hold each other accountable. And we want to make sure every session is important and that players are getting the best out of every session. And so we're very particular about the way that we do things. If things aren't done correctly, yes, we can pull you aside and have that conversation with you about, what are some things that we need to improve on. But we expect you to change it on the fly when you're training with us, especially in our group settings, because players want to get better, and this is what we're training for, right? Yes, it's supposed to be fun, and we want to train with our friends and everything, but we're doing all this training so we can perform in our tournaments or in league games. And so we hold that standard here at Club 10, and we make sure that everybody understands. So if there's new players coming in, like the players that have been in the group sessions or the players that are doing the other sessions around them, they understand like it's time to take it serious and take the training serious. But at the same time, I really try to make it feel more family-like. If someone's new's coming in, I try to introduce them to everybody, make them feel welcome to the training sessions, because you want to be in an environment where it's fun and you are familiar with everybody and you feel comfortable with everyone, to where the sessions don't feel tight. And so if people are coming from, what happens is we get players that come from other high schools. And so it's just like, oh my God, they're coming from that high school. I don't like that high school. It's just like you leave that in the parking lot, because we're here to get better, and you're going to work with one another, whether you are a boy or a girl. And our job is to work together and understand the game and create and get better knowledge. And so that's really like the culture that we try to set and the standard that we try to set at Club 10. And the reason I'm talking about that is just because I've gone around and I've posted that I've coached at other I'm coaching at other spots and helping out. I've been helping out with a couple club teams. I'm helping out with their training sessions, and they've asked me to like, hey, can you set up a session to help these guys out? Whether it's like attacking, defending, or like 11v11 type stuff. And I have conversations with coaches and just kind of let them know, like, I question the standard and the culture that they have in their club. And I get that, it's about having many players in. And, same thing with like high school players. It's like the more the better, the more the better. But you're only as good as your best player is. And so what I mean by that is if the standard isn't set from one of your top players, and it's all just goofing off, or I'm not going to pay attention, or I don't care how we're supposed to do this drill, then it's going to trickle down. And so our job is to set up a session that's going to make you successful in a game and to make you a bit smarter in the game, grow your IQ for the game. And if it's just kind of like, and I was running into the situation where like players just didn't care, or they're kind of like wondering why am I even doing this session right now with this guy? It leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and I have to go tell the coaches like, is this normal? And they're kind of like, yeah, it's normal for them to act that way. Like, how do you even do that? Like how can you even put up with that? If you want to keep them, and I get club wise, you got to retain players, but they're not players that would play. Like if the standard of training is very poor, then how can you expect them to play in a match and hold a high standard in a match? It's just not going to happen. And so I think for teams, I think it's very important to understand, okay, who is the captain of the team and what standard are they held at, right? And are they helping and supporting building the culture that you're trying to build with your high school team, club team? And again, you can see this from young players to older players to amateur players to professional players. I mean, just think about where the greatest players are always successful. It's kind of like if you look at Ronaldo, if you look at Messi, in soccer wise, like they hold a certain standard and they create a certain culture, and everyone just kind of feeds off of it, right? And they are the ones holding everyone accountable. And they're successful everywhere they go. I mean, look at Ronaldo everywhere he's played at. And I'm not a huge Ronaldo fan, but he's successful everywhere he goes because the moment he walks in, like, there is a standard, and it's like, if you don't work the way I work, then we're going to have an issue. And I think that happened too with Barcelona, right? With Ronaldinho was there for a while with Messi, and then Messi kind of took over. And so there was a lot of older heads like creating that standard in Barcelona. And now that all the older heads are gone, like they have Lamine Yamal coming out and saying crazy stuff. And I'm not one to criticize players that talk, but if you're going to talk, you got to show up. And so there's not an older head at Barcelona right now holding him accountable. And he is the best player there. And so his standard and where they're holding him is just at an all-time low, which is why I think Barcelona is kind of struggling at the time. But again, we can take a look at Chelsea. I think this last couple games, you've seen Reece James really kind of just take over and kind of implement himself even in the midfield or defense or wherever he needs to go. And him as a captain is like the true captain. There's a lot of young players, but they're all starting to get that understanding of like, this is the standard and the culture that it's set at Chelsea. And so let's not even talk football. We can talk basketball. We can talk American football, like, with Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, all these different guys, like they just hold a particular standard. And so this is why they're winners. So I think that's very, very important, that we have a standard and a culture. And I don't think there's any room for bad apples. Like once you have a bad apple, it's just gonna rotten the rest of it. And so for me, just if you have that bad apple and that's there, man, you gotta nip it in the bud, get rid of it, or bench him, do something, have a conversation with the player, because it's just gonna rotten everything else. And yes, the team could have potential, but then you run into those teams that like, man, this team could have so much potential, but they have a lot of like individual players. Yeah, because again, there's no standard, no culture being set, and so everything tends to just kind of fall apart. So I think that's where things need to change for certain clubs. Even it's the coaches. So if there's a club with many coaches for all different age groups, I think the coaches have to understand what's the culture and what's the standard, and so that way those coaches can implement that for the players that are coming in. And it's our job as coaches too to understand players' personalities. There's some players that you can challenge and really talk really aggressive to and do, kind of get in their face if you need to. And then there's some players you just can't do that. And I've learned that the hard way over my years of coaching, that we can't, just not all of them are going to respond the same way. And so even though my conversations are black and white, there's some players that I will challenge and kind of get in their face to challenge them and make them do better. And then there's going to be players that I don't get in their face, but I still challenge them, but it's just a different way. I just kind of come off to the side with them and talk to them and try to get them to understand, what we're trying to set and why they're here and what I am trying to give them and how I'm going to try to support them in their journey of football. But we got to develop competitors. And I think that's the only way to really get the competitors to come out and get that kind of like burning desire, that fire from the player. It's standard in culture and just knowing how to communicate with those guys. And something that I've ran into recently here too is, earlier I watched a interview with Cristiano Ronaldo, and again, he's just a huge competitor when it comes to the field, comes to football. But I believe that he's very humble off the field, but on the field, he's the ultimate competitor and he wants to try to win every game. And there was a question that was asked of him, even now playing at all the years that he's played, almost 40 years of age. They asked him about, how do you feel whenever like a coach pulls you off? Right, and it could be like a tied game or a 1-0 game only. You're up or you're losing, and the coach decides to pull you. And where I tell you, like, the best players need to be held accountable. And he just said, my job is to support the coach and the coach's decision. The coach pulls me off. He pulls me off. He sees something and wants to change something, and my job is to set the example, and if he feels like he needs to pull me off, it's great. Like, it's fine. Obviously, back in my younger days, there was moments where I didn't want to come off because I feel like I could change the game at any moment. But at the end of it, it's the coach's decision, and I have to support the coach. And that speaks volumes from that type of player, because he is one of the greatest players to ever lace up the boots, and he still doesn't have that ego of, I can't be pulled off. You know who I am? Like, he doesn't act that way. And here we have players where we try to coach them through situations or tell them, hey, this is the way you're playing, or this is the things that we see in your game where we have to change something out of it. And players get offended, like an ego thing. It's like, I can't believe I'm being challenged. I can't believe I'm being told how to do certain things. Like, what is this coach's problem? It's like, you have an ego. You haven't even played at a high level, and you have a huge ego. And the guy that should have the biggest ego in all of football doesn't even have one. He's telling you that he supports the coach's decision and understands the decisions and will do whatever he needs to do for the betterment of the team. And as long as the team wins, that's what he's about. Like, it doesn't matter what position they play him in. And I try to take that into what I was doing this past weekend. I've always played striker and cam, and so I ended up playing a game where I was right wing, and it's like, well, I can still use my IQ for the game, and if I need to be played at right wing, I guess I'm gonna play at right wing. Like I don't have the burners to play right wing, but I have the IQ, and so I'm gonna make sure I put myself in the positions to win games or to score. And so I took something out of his page, and I was just kind of like, and I feel like we need to do better with that, and players need to do better with that. Understanding the level of soccer that you're playing, and for you to have an ego just needs to drop. Like have an ego, yes, with the other team, and if you need to banter with the other team to kind of get you motivated and get you going, like that's fine. But anytime a coach questions you or a coach gives you advice or tells you, I see this, I see that, it shouldn't be an ego shot. It shouldn't be where I can't believe this guy's coming up to me and telling me stuff right now. It should be, okay, let me open up my ears and let me listen. And how do I understand exactly what he's telling me or she's telling me? And then how can I fix it, right? And it's our job to fix it. If we see something and we come to tell you, it's our job as coaches to kind of help you through that and tell you how to fix different things. I know a couple weeks ago, I know we were talking about Reece James with Chelsea. They were playing Burnley, and it was before they ended up playing Barcelona. There was like criticism over the coaches because they pulled Reece James from Burnley. And Reece James has had injury issues in the past. And I think Maresca is doing a fantastic job in managing him. But they were talking about pulling Reece James from that game. And he's coming off, and he has his jacket on now, and he's walking to the bench smiling and laughing and all that. Like, there's no ego. There's not a shot at his ego, because he understands that the purpose is we can survive this game with other players, but we need you to step up against when we play in the UEFA games against Barcelona, and then played this past Sunday against Arsenal, and he did that, and he showed out. And there's no reason to play him long minutes against Burnley when we have two big games coming up. And so, players like that, no ego. And we run into kids that are 12, 13, 14 that are playing not even high-level soccer, and they have this major ego about them when they're being coached. And parents need to support in that. They have to be able to understand that it's the coach's job to help that player. And I think sometimes it comes from the parents, like the parents just really talking up their player, which is great, like your mom and dad. But you have to let the player understand that, yes, although mom and dad thinks you're a great player, you have to listen to that coach. And if that coach wants you to play outside back and all you've ever played is striker, well, guess what? You have to learn how to play outside back, because that's where the coach wants you to play. There's not, stop complaining, stop moaning, like come get training and I need to figure out how to play this right back position, because this is where he's playing me, right? And so it's just that's the biggest flaw that we have right now with players. I think they're not coachable, they have an ego. And so again, I'm cut from a different cloth. I've done the 11v11 coaching, the semi-pro men's, U19 boys, U19 girls, to now individual training, semi-pro players, pro players, and it's just kind of like you have to release the reins, like be coachable, understand what the mutual goal is here, and the mutual goal here is for you to get better, for you to be a better footballer. And so I think that the next step is, once you surpass that and you find someone that you truly trust as a trainer and as a coach, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more success in your games and in your sessions. And that's practically it, guys. It's just some stuff that I had on my mind, and I think that we can do a better job. And if there's players that have questions, right, just shoot them over, or don't be afraid to ask your coach. I know I've ran into that issue before, where some players get like 5 minutes of playing time, and then one game they're getting like 30 minutes, and it's just a big discrepancy too. that part, just like the coaches come and tell you something, I think the players should have that ability to come ask the coach, like, what did you see during training this week, or why in this game did I only play 5 minutes when I was playing 30 before? Is it a tactical issue? Is it something that I'm doing wrong? So the player has to have that ability too. You got to have that rapport with your coach and trainers, so that way you know how to be more successful on the field. Again, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving break. I know Christmas is coming up. So still keep your training sessions going. Don't forget to do your running. So that way you don't lose, because it only takes a week to get out of shape, honestly. Doesn't take too long. International tour, December 20th. We should be going to London in April. And then I'm going to try to make a few connections out in Germany. We'll see how that goes. But make sure you register. Go to our link tree and do that registration. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like our YouTube page. If you haven't followed us on our social media, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok, as we're trying to grow the brand a little bit more. I thank you everybody for ordering the hoodies that we had out. We had tons and tons of orders. The hoodies should be coming in today or tomorrow. So we should be getting them out to you in the next week or so. Again, Maestros, have a great week. Good training.